My name is Dale Archdekin, and I'm the founder of Smart Sales Coaching. And we are based in the US. And I know that most of you folks are based somewhere in Canada, which is awesome. And so we are a scripting and dialogue specialist company. And what we do is we help agents, inside sales agents, teams, and brokerages convert their leads at a higher level. So we help you salespeople have better conversations, improve your scripting and dialogue capabilities so that you can have better conversations and interactions with your leads, drive more appointments, and close more business. As a result, we also consult with teams and brokerages on optimizing their sales teams to convert more, book more appointments, and close, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to find out more about us, I'm going to show you over here. And normally I would tell you kind of my trajectory and how I got where I am. But for today's mindset talk, I think that my experience is particularly relevant. So I'll hold that part for as we're going through the mindset and crushing call reluctance and all sorts of stuff like that. But here you can find our website, smartsalescoaching.com, and we provide daily and weekly sales training via Zoom around scripting, dialogue, accountability, mindset, all sorts of stuff like that. In fact, I'll talk about it today probably, but you can see a list of classes. Not only do we have pre-recorded on-demand training, we also have live classes every single day, twice a day, in addition to weekly accountability meetings with you and a trainer. So if you want to find out more about that, you can. The reason that I'm here is because Otto is an awesome guy who is the founder of Agent Locator and the creator of it. And basically, we have a partnership with them where we come and provide scripting and dialogue and mindset training from the perspective of being sales experts. And so we provide that to you, the users. So here's where I want to start today. I want to find out from you what your intention for being on this webinar is. Why are you on this webinar? What do you want to gain from today, from today's topic? Do me a favor and chat in. What do you want to gain from today? Chat that in for me. Make conversations flow. Better lead conversion. Okay. Feeling comfortable talking to clients. All right, good. Not sounding so needy. I like that. Positive mindset, overcoming fear of calling. Okay, that's what the topic of today is. Improve my communication skills, make a system work with Agent Locator. Okay. To handle objections during calls for prospecting, being confident to call a cold lead. Like it. Confident to call a cold lead. I love that. Holidays are coming up, lots of prospecting opportunities. So Lauren, I'm not sure. Lauren said holidays are coming up, lots of prospecting opportunities and networking. But what is it you're looking to get here? That I believe is a true statement, Lauren, and a very positive statement, but it doesn't tell me what you're looking to get here. How to thoroughly make conversations with clients. Okay. Slacking on making calls. Got it. Better lead conversion and getting over something. Tyler Z-Man wrote, getting over something. Picking up the phone, fear of calling, follow up, not sounding salesy, but following up adequately with cold, unresponsive leads. Okay, great. Right things to say, fear of calling. Yep. Okay, so Michelle wrote, fear of calling, leads prefer text, email these days, not good at memorizing scripts. Okay, well, the good news is you don't have to memorize scripts. I'm going to ask this one more question. How does call reluctance work for you? Or how does it show up for you in your day or in your week or in your sales career? How does call reluctance show up for you? Because the topic of today is smashing call reluctance. And I'm going to be talking about mindset. I'm going to be talking about call reluctance. I'm going to be talking about your environment. I'm going to be talking about the structures that you put in place for yourself. But I want to know for you, how does your call reluctance show up? Let's see, getting past the initial rejection, procrastinating to-do lists. Yep. It shows up when I tell myself that they don't want to hear from me. Okay, good. Not calling. It shows up as procrastination. Yep. Putting it off. Okay. Get very demotivated with every negative call. So it takes me days to get enough courage to call again. Thank you for letting us know that, Wana. Not calling, concerned that I don't sound sincere, choosing another less important chore over calling. Yes, Hasim, I know that, man. Sometimes I'd rather clean the shower or, straighten up my garage. Looking for the perfect environment and timing. Yep. Not interested. Hear it too many times. Okay. All right. Good. Coming up with the 99 reasons why my call will not be received positively. That's great, Christian. I like that. All right. Well, let's this is the part where I think it's relevant for me to talk about who I am in my own experience. Um, so I actually when I was in high school, so I've been in sales about 30 years now, and it started when I was in high school part-time working in a call center. And, working in the call center, I was sitting there on a dialer on a headset, and I had a flip book of scripts in front of me. I did not have any particular desire or need to talk to complete strangers and try to sell them the completely worthless thing we were selling, which was credit card insurance at the time, meaning we would insure you against fraudulent charges on your credit card, which is what pretty much any credit card would do anyway. And I didn't know this. So it really started out then. And I was pretty apathetic about having these conversations with people, just calling up these strangers, following the script I was supposed to read. The job sucked, and I didn't really like it, but I did actually get okay at it and start doing it, and start closing and start getting a decent, record of being able to close, simply because I think it turned into a game for me to see if I could figure out what would work when I was saying it to these people, and what would cause them to listen to me, first of all, what would cause them to then decide that they wanted to purchase this thing that I was buying. So that little shift there, not that I never really considered that a serious job, or I certainly never thought I'd end up being a sales trainer, for God's sake. Almost however many years later, 25 years later, 20 years later. But that one little shift certainly helped me. And then when I got into real estate, actually, before I got into real estate, I started originating mortgages. And I got into originating mortgages because I hated the job that I had. I was working as a designer, sitting in an office all day long, designing trade show exhibits for not a lot of money. And I had to be there, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, every single week. I had to ask for the vacations I wanted to take. The only reward for hard work and doing a good job was that they gave me more work. And so I said, you know what? I want to go and I want to figure out how I can make more money in less time. And I want to be able to control my schedule. So naturally, I got into sales, selling mortgages, but I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't have a database. And so I went online and somehow found this guy that was selling MP3s about how to be a prospector. And I listened to the MP3s, and it gave me techniques and gave me strategy, and he talked about mindset, and he even talked about, hey, if you're going to be this person banging out calls in your office, they're probably going to call you things like cold call cowboy and other derogatory names that they're going to give you. Don't worry about that stuff, just keep moving forward, make the contacts. And he convinced me through that training that it was valid for me to be reaching out to these people, that it was valid for me to be offering a service to these people. And it was really up to them to decide whether or not they wanted it, whether or not it would help them. And it shouldn't reflect on me whether or not they chose to talk to me or take me up on the offer. So I took his techniques and strategies and mindset, and I used it. And I was calling people, cold calling people, to refinance their mortgages. So I would go and look up their records, look to see whether they had a high interest loan or not, and then cold call them to see if I could refinance them out of it and get them into a lower payment. That sucks. That's kind of tough work, right? And then got into real estate. Again, didn't have really a sphere of influence or database. My company trained me how to call for sale by owners and expired listings and call for rent by owners, cold calling. And so I didn't have any other choice. I had to keep the lights on. I had to make money. So I just did it. I started calling people, and again, found some success and had some good conversations. and got to the point where I did that for about 5 years and became a pretty substantial listing agent in my market and taking on average 5, 6, 7 listings every month. How, going, telling that story now, all of it sounds great. It all sounds super easy. Like it all fits together, right? And somehow maybe I'm special. Maybe I had some unique talent for calling or prospecting or some unique sort of emotional strength that pushed me through that. But no, it was hard. It was a grind. I didn't want to do it. Most of the time, I almost never wanted to do it. I had to develop the muscle and the regularity and the consistency to show up, have these calls, have these conversations, get rejected, lots of rejection. So you can't really avoid that part of it. But I did develop some techniques and strategies that I used for myself to be able to get me through this. And part of what I want to do today is I'm going to share some books with you and some resources that I want you to study. I'm also going to take you through maybe a little checklist of things that you need to have for yourself so that you can consistently lead generate. Now, when it comes to people who messaged in saying that they want to improve their skills, this is a shameless plug. We don't do a bunch of plugging of our company on these webinars, these training webinars, but that's what we do. We train on these techniques and strategies normally. Today's webinar is about mindset. But if you're not in training with us, I strongly suggest that you look into getting into either our 12-week training boot camp or at least even signing up for our class pass, which I showed you on our website. It was that list of classes. I'll just show it again real quick. It's $200 a month. You can come to as many or as few of these classes as you want, and we have rotating topics, and they're taught by our trainers live. So if you said what you want is to improve your scripting and dialogue skill, which increases your confidence massively, you want to come to some of these classes. The entry point is super simple. Like I said, it's $200 a month, or you can join our 12-week boot camp. And at the end of this, I'll take 5 minutes and tell you about that, how that works. Does that sound good? So if you want to stick around at the end, you can. Okay. Let's run through these. So a couple of the techniques and strategies that helped me. One, I had a time blocked schedule. So on my schedule, every single week from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. was lead generation time. I didn't do anything other than lead generate from 9 a.m. to 12, Monday through Friday. And then I had a 2-hour block on my Saturdays. I would show up on time. I knew who I was going to contact. I had my list of people, and I showed up and I just banged out the phone calls. Initially, I started on a single line dialer. And then when I realized I needed to have more conversations, I moved over to a multi-line dialer. So having the time block schedule with that lead gen block in the morning, and then I would have like maybe 30 minutes for admin. Then I would have lunch. After that, I would have maybe an hour of follow-up. And then I had open slots on my calendar each day, Monday through Friday, for appointments, listing appointments or buyer consults. And that was the schedule that I followed every single week. Was I on my schedule every single day? No. Did I fall off my schedule? Yes. Did my afternoons most of the time go to shit and things were crazy, pulled in different directions? Yes. Inspection problems, last minute discovery that the agent who last showed the house lost the key and nobody can get in there, or left the doors unlocked and the sellers are freaking out, or there's some sort of, the floor joist is rotten and we have to go to settlement the next day, and somebody has to figure out how that's going to get fixed in order for it to go to settlement and for me to get paid so I could pay my mortgage. All those things happen. That's reality. But here's the thing that I know, and the thing that served me is that I started to realize, I would beat myself up for not following my schedule perfectly. After a while, what I realized was, hey, as long as I can show up for my lead generation and I can at least get 20 contacts or even 30 contacts in a day, I will be okay. Things will still happen. I will book appointments. I will find clients who will work with me. And all the rest, if everything else goes crazy, that's okay as long as I get my prospecting done. So that's one of the tools that I used, was a time block schedule that I followed as much as I could. The other tool that I used is, for me, journaling is a big one. So I write my thoughts down a lot, and then I review those things, because I don't know about you, but I tend to fluctuate. My mindset fluctuates between being confident and being motivated to being totally demotivated and like, I'm just going to get a can of gas and burn this down. Right. So if you have any of those kind of things, one of the strategies that I've found is journaling, writing those things down, especially the Dale who is confident and motivated, writing messages for the unmotivated and sort of overwhelmed Dale to read in the future when that cycle comes around again. The other thing is having mindset resources that I would study, books that I would listen to, and I'm going to give you some here. And today we have YouTube, which is massively prevalent. So if you don't have a list of good, like TED Talks that you want to listen to, motivational people that you want to listen to, if you're spiritual and that's your thing, somebody who talks or gives you the advice and the mindset that you need to have to reprogram yourself or get refocused, you need to develop that list. And like I said, I'm going to give you a couple of books today to focus on. Another couple of strategies that I used in real time actually was, as I was prospecting, the phone is ringing, I'm waiting for somebody to answer. Who was it that said in the messages, coming up with the 99 reasons why my call will not be received positively? Christian wrote that. Did you guys see that in the chat? Coming up with the 99 reasons why my call will not be received positively. So here's a strategy that I figured out that I've used in my life a lot. If Christian can spend the mind share to come up with 99 reasons for why the call will not be received positively, it stands to reason he or she could just as easily come up with 99 reasons why it will be received positively and why the person needs their message. And imagine how excited and elated and relieved that person will be when a professional calls them and offers them help or service. Does that make sense? If you can spend your time coming up with why it won't work or why they don't need you or how badly it's going to go, you can just as easily choose to spend your time coming up with the opposite. Did you know that? You make up your own stories. You make up your own stories about what won't work, why it won't work, how bad it will be, and how you will feel terrible. You make all that up. We make all that up. I make all that up for myself. You get to make up the opposite story. It is literally that simple. So that's a strategy that I've used, and how I can tie that down to actual functions for you. So like I said, when the phone is ringing, I would have mantras that I would repeat to myself, and I would try to feel this and try to embody it. And I would say things to myself like, this next person needs my help. This next person needs my help. This next person is waiting for my call. This next person would be disappointed if I don't talk to them. And I would try to imagine how they needed my help. I would try to imagine answering their questions for them, giving them advice, giving them guidance, giving them a good strategy for moving forward to getting into that perfect home or getting their property sold, getting the most money for it, helping them solve what they needed to do next and creating a plan for them. I would imagine those things, imagine that was going to happen while I'm waiting for the phone, while it's dialing. That puts you in a very, I mean, look at it this way. What are the other choices that we have? I can either be in a positive, empowered mindset. I can potentially be in a neutral mindset if you're good at that, or I can be in a negative mindset while you're waiting for that to happen. It's your choice. What I know is I needed to make the calls. I had to set the appointments. I had to get the business so that I could make the money to pay the bills. And I had to be there to do it. And if I was going to be there anyway, I got to choose whether I was going to be positive or negative about it. Now, the more often you can practice that, the better you're going to feel and the more empowered you're going to be. I'm going to give you one more strategy and technique that I use. And I recognize this for myself is that a lot of times when I'm looking at making sales or contacting leads, I've got two modes of looking at it, and I call it the forest and the trees. So when I'm overwhelmed and feeling like I can't do it, it's not going to work, I'm going to fail at it, these people don't want to talk to me, I realize that I'm looking at the leads as a forest, as a monolith, as a single entity with a single perspective. And if I can shift away from that to realize that it's individual trees that make up the forest, different sizes, shapes, colors, right? That helps, meaning the individual people are just that. They're individuals. You've got individual wants, hopes, dreams, perspectives, desires. And if I can get myself out of the monolithic thinking and realize I'm looking for the one tree that I can help, I'm looking for that one tree that needs me and is looking for me or is open to having a conversation with me that I can pour into. And honestly, I do it the same thing with this training. Sometimes I don't want to do this training. Sometimes I don't want to do these damn webinars. And I realize when I'm doing that, I'm looking at all of you as the forest. And then I have to tell myself, wait a minute, you don't have to win everybody on these webinars. You don't have to make a massive impact for everybody. You don't have to be the best trainer ever. All you have to do is find those couple of trees, those couple of people that are going to hear this message and needed to hear that message, and those people for whom you're going to make an impact in their lives. And that gives me the energy to show up and do this. It's the same idea. Is that helpful? If that is helpful for anybody, let me know that if you are that special little tree that needs these messages, please chat in right now. Let me know that I'm making a difference for you. I'm waiting for a chat. There we go. Wolf Klein is a tree. Thank you, Wolf. I appreciate that. Good. Okay. Excellent. Good. So excellent. I see the chat's coming in. That's awesome. Okay. So I've talked about a couple of tools. Let's talk about environment. All right. In addition to having a time blocked schedule, knowing who I'm going to contact, let's talk, or having these techniques and strategies, these mental techniques and strategies, the resources, right? Books, tapes, videos, whatever it is, MP3s. In addition to that, should we talk about, let's talk about environment and then we'll talk about skills. So environment. I want to ask this of you guys. How many of you, and I can see your faces, by how many of you by show of hands have a group of people that you associate with either in person or on video who are also consistently lead generating for business? One. I see one hand, two hands, three hands, four. There we go. Okay. We got a couple of people. You need to get that. Write this down. Find a group of people doing what I need to do. You need to get a group of other people doing what you do. And best case scenario is you can find a time mutually that you'll do it together. You can jump on Zoom. Guess what? You want to hear a shocker? We're all on Zoom right now. How easy is it for you to be on Zoom, muted with the sound off, lead generating while your other people are lead generating too? That's pretty easy to do, right? Find a group of other people that are doing it. One of the things that got me through was in my office, there were 2 or 3 other consistent prospectors, and we would show up. I mean, I was there Monday through Friday. Sometimes I might miss a day, but for the most part, I was there 5 days a week at least. I would show up, and they would usually show up most of the time too. Having other people that were doing the same thing helps. You don't feel so alone. You don't feel so isolated, because being a lead generator can be a little bit lonely. I mean, we do get the pleasure out of having good conversations with people, but the big gaps in between good conversation gets kind of lonely and boring, right? So having other people around that are doing the same thing gives you that guidance, gives you that structure, and can be a little bit like a positive peer pressure type thing. You know, they're going to be there. And if you don't show up, you're going to feel bad that you didn't show up to do the thing. That helps. Okay. Let's talk about skills. Skills are a massive thing. Let me ask all of you, how many of you like doing things you suck at? By show of hands. Who here just loves doing stuff you suck at? Nobody here likes doing that. It's horrible. It sucks, right? It's painful. How many of you here like doing things that you literally could do in your sleep? Like so easy, like the back of your hand, doesn't take any thought, right? You can just knock it out. This is what skills at its most basic level provide to you. Having a level of skill set. You can literally give me any lead source in any industry, and I will call them and I will have a conversation with them. I may not know how to sell whatever the hell it is you're selling, but I know how to call a prospect or call a stranger and basically do three things, which is how we teach our intros. I can tell them who I am, I can tell them why I'm calling, and I can tell them what I want. So I just gave you one of the key trainings that we do, one of the sort of bedrock foundations to the way that we approach conversational dialogue in sales. And if you know those three things, you can sell anything in any industry and be super confident about it. So when I talk about skill set, that's the first most important thing you have to get down. It provides you a level of confidence and security that you can't otherwise get. The other part about skills is the one that all of you think about, which is how well will I be able to convert this person into business or an appointment? That's the second level of skills. So you must be actively working on your skill set. And how many of you, you're all in real estate, right? How many of you have done a deal with that 30-year dinosaur veteran who does it the absolute wrong way, but tells you they've been doing it that way for the last 30 years? Yeah, you've all experienced that. And you're like, I don't care. You've been doing it wrong for 30 years, right? Here's my point with skills. If you keep practicing the wrong way of doing things, you're going to keep getting what you got. You're going to keep getting the results that you got. You need to be getting good instruction, and you need to be practicing that instruction, and you need to be up leveling the skill set that you have, not just practicing bad skills over and over again. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Trying not to plug my training company here, but it's kind of an obvious one. If you're not in training with us, you need to come learn good skills or go learn it from somebody else. What's that, Maria? We're going to mute Maria. Oop, there we go. Maria accidentally found the mute button. Okay, so skills. Let's move on. Let's talk about a couple of resources first. I want to give you some mindset resources. So there's a couple of books that I want you to get. One is The Motivation Myth by Jeff Hayden. And that's Haden. It's The Motivation Myth by Jeff Hayden. And that's one where really the premise of the book, and read the first 3 chapters. After that, you don't really need the book. But in the first 3 chapters, what he illuminates is, and this is a mistake that I made, I've always thought that motivation came externally. Motivation sort of came to me as a result of a goal, or motivation came, I had to sort of manufacture the motivation for myself, or that it came as sort of divine inspiration. And in reading this book, what I discovered and then realized was true is that Motivation doesn't exist. Typically, motivation gets created through action. You actually have to get part way into doing something in order to become motivated to do it. So I would, you know, when I said I did the 2 to 3 hours a day of prospecting, I did that out of desperation because I had to make the contacts. I had to get the appointments. I had to close the business in order to pay the bills. Unfortunately, when you get past having to pay the bills, it becomes a little bit harder to do the stuff that you don't want to do. Can we all agree to that? Right? If you don't absolutely have to, it becomes even harder to do it. So I was sitting around thinking that I would wait for the motivation or something was wrong with me because I didn't, quote, have enough motivation. This book, The Motivation Myth, helped me discover that if I didn't start taking action or getting into it, the motivation wouldn't come. I had to start first, even though I didn't want to or feel like it. And so as I started to implement that concept into both lead generation as well as even exercising, like that's the easiest one to see that for me. I don't know about you people, but for me, I don't want to exercise. I do not want to work out. And I force myself to. I start doing it. I get warmed up. I'm like, all right, this is not bad. Then I'm getting into it. Now I'm feeling really good. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. By the end of the workout, I'm like, oh my God, I feel great. I'm going to do this every single day until the next morning when I'm like, I don't want to do that at all. That's my cycle. But I have to get into it to actually feel like doing it every single damn time. And lead generation contacts, very, very similar. You got to get into it. You got to start doing it until you make it more of a habit. Full disclosure, our sales guy, Anthony, is on here. I know Anthony is in that zone now where Anthony feels guilty if he's not making contacts every day. Is that true, Anthony? Not because I'm his boss, but because of things that he said. I know that he feels guilty if he's not making calls every day or making contacts every day. And I got to the same place. I've been there before where you're like something is wrong if you're not making contacts. Like you feel bad, something bad might happen. You can get there too. You don't start there from today if you're not doing it, if you're not consistently lead generating or making contacts, but you can get there. All right, so the next book that I want you to write down, and I want you to get this one's important. It is Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. So that one really helps you understand that you have to control your environment and you have to set up systems for yourself to be conducive to taking whatever action it is that you want to take. Right? With that, you need a place to do your lead generation. Maybe you actually need a place that is outside of your normal routine to do your lead generation. You need the tools, you need the lists, you need the people, you need that group of people that you know who are doing it at the same time, whether in person or virtual. You need to have these, even the mindset tools that I'm talking about, you have to have the full package around you to help you overcome the inertia of not taking the action and not doing the thing. For those people that a couple of people who have said, hey, I'm worried about how it's going to go wrong or getting rejected or whatever it may be, you have to identify or you really have to examine your relationship to being wrong or to being rejected and try to re-identify that for yourself. So full disclosure, I frequently, when I go through phases where I'm not working leads or talking to people consistently, I also struggle with being rejected. It's a thought for me. It gets in the way. I don't want to be rejected. Nobody, not most normal functioning human beings don't want to be rejected. That fear of rejection, that pain of rejection definitely for me goes down when I start having conversations and talking to those individual unique trees, especially when I have a good conversation or two, whether it results in business or not. But the good conversations that you have. You either click with the person or you enjoy talking to them. You can tell they enjoyed talking to you, or you give them some piece of advice or guidance that they appreciate. and they come away from that call feeling better or having more knowledge or having more of a plan. If you don't make the contacts, you don't get to experience that. And you get yourself stuck behind this fear that everybody's going to reject you or how bad it's going to feel when you get rejected. Also, I don't know about you, but I have the experience of when I've had some of those good conversations, it really takes the sting out of being rejected by whoever that next person is that says no or not yet to me. Just really mitigates that impact. But you have to be having the conversations. You have to be having the interactions in order to experience that, to have the positive input to be able to deal with and mitigate the negative inputs. Does that make sense? If you just try to protect yourself from the negative inputs, you're cutting off and eliminating your possibility to get the positive inputs that you need that will help push you through. Okay. All right. So we talked about books. We talked about resources. What else did I have on my list to talk about? Oh, all right. I want you guys to make a quick checklist for yourselves. So I want you to decide today on this call, do you have a time block schedule? Yes or no? Do you need to revisit it? Do you need to revamp the time block schedule? I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you have a time block schedule that you don't follow, you don't have a time block schedule. You have to take whatever you think is your time block schedule that you're not following, and you have to keep hammering that thing and changing that thing and reducing that thing until it becomes the thing that you will follow. And as I said, if that just is that you lead generate 1 hour a day consistently, and that's the only thing that you can follow consistently, that's where you start. If you can get 2 days, fantastic. If you can get 3 days, oh my God, 4 or 5 days, you're going to be teaching this. Okay. So start there. Time block schedule that you will follow. Wait, I want to make sure this point is not lost on you. By shake of your head, did I say you have to have the perfect schedule you follow all the time? Good. Did I say you start by creating something you will follow consistently, regardless of how simple it is? Shake your head. Yes. Okay, good. All right, we're good on that one. That's one. Do you have the list of people to talk to interact with, to text message, to email, to write note cards to, whose doors you can knock on? Do you have the list of people? Do you have enough people? Do you have enough people that you could have at minimum 20 to 30 new interactions per week with people you haven't interacted with? If you don't have enough people to have 20 to 30 new interactions every single week, you need to get more leads or more lead sources or more names or more strategies. Okay. I don't care if it's open houses. I don't care if it's door knocking. I don't care if it's networking groups. I don't care if it's PPC leads, having them run through agent locator, having them generate leads for you, adding more budget to it, get more people to talk to. How confident are you in these 4 areas of your scripting skills? Okay, 4 areas. Your introductions, how you get into a conversation with a stranger. Who are you? Why are you calling? What do you want? Your objection handling process. Somebody says no, not you, not now, not under these circumstances. How confident are you that you can deal with that? Your value proposition. If somebody says, why should I buy a house with you? Why should I list a house with you? Your closing ability, your ability to have a conversation and ask for a logical next step or logical meeting with a potential buyer or seller. How confident are you in those 4 areas? And a community of other people. Do you have a community of other people? Can you find a community of other people? And then last on the checklist is, do you have good, empowering, positive mindset tools, videos, books, recordings? I have a YouTube channel with lots of podcast recordings. If you want to go check it out, it's Smart Sales Coaching. There's some resources right there. I know there's a lot of really great resources around mindset also on YouTube. I use it extensively. Do you have all those things? Okay. All right. So that's your checklist for today. We're talking about mindset. I guess the one thing that I'll leave you with around mindset is I have spent a lot of time figuring out how I think and how those thoughts or those perspectives empower or disempower me. And when I have disempowering ones, I work on what can I do, or who can I talk to, or who can I learn from to adopt or learn a different perspective or tool that will be empowering for me. So if you are disempowered, go find those things. Okay. Now, that's it for today. We're coming to the end here. If you want to stick around, if you guys want to ask any questions about our training programs or how it works, I'm more than happy to answer that for you. Basically, we have a 12-week boot camp that you sign up for. You get access to a 9-module video training course that includes mindset, how to structure your day, how to effectively work your CRM. It also includes access to the twice daily classes that I showed you at the beginning of this. And you also get placed into a small accountability group and assigned a trainer who meets with you every week for an hour. So what is the best way? Anthony, maybe what we should do is just have them reach out to us if they want to know more about it. The only reason I'm making a pitch here at the end, everybody, is because I'm talking about mindset and because I'm passionate about this. And I went from zero money to, ultimately becoming a multimillionaire by sales, by doing what I had to do and figuring out how to show up and do it and figuring out how to show up and do it better. So I have a little soft spot in my heart for all of you who want to do better and who want more and you want to improve your lives and you want to improve your fortunes and your income. You can do it. It absolutely can be done. You are no different than anyone else. Nobody is more special or equipped or capable than you and me too. We can all do it. I have, and I know you can too. And what we've done is we've taken all those tools and resources that I've built over time for not only myself to do it, but to be able to grow real estate teams and do it with them too. And we've bottled it up for you. So can you do it on your own? Yes, you can. If you want to spend a little bit of money, you can do it with us and do it faster, is the point. So do this. If you're interested, shoot me an email or shoot us an email, sales@smartsalescoaching.com, and just say that you're interested in our training program or offerings. And we'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. I'm going to drop it into the chat. There we go. Sales@smartsalescoaching.com. I think I spelled it right. Okay, good. Before we end for today, any questions anybody has about anything? No? Okay.
Hey, Dale, I got a question.
Go for it.
Just in terms of our calling, so like I use Agent Locator. So I find a lot of it like when you call and like we don't leave messages right away, you kind of go for the first couple times. Do you find that like if you had like a caller ID or like if you set it up so if they reverse looked up the phone number that's more opting them to call you back or reconnect? You know what I mean? Like especially with so many scams coming out that if it's like if I call off my dialer number and they didn't put it into Google, nothing pops up. Like, are they like, okay, well, this is just a random number? Like, any experience there or any thoughts?
Sure. So here's the first thing. Never call a number that you won't text afterwards. Okay. Because Justin, when somebody calls your phone and you don't recognize the number or you can't answer, what do you immediately do?
Text them.
If somebody
Oh,
calls
me.
you, yeah, you wait to see if there's a text message, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So text them. Because everybody looks for the text message if they can't answer the phone or they don't want to answer the phone if they're screening. Because most most spammers either call and don't text or text and don't call. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a real person. You're going to call them, and because they don't answer, you're going to text them, and then if you're able to, you're going to email them afterwards. So I don't leave voicemails unless you are working in say a 55 plus predominant demographic. Don't leave voicemails because people don't listen to it. They look for the text message. So always call through your dialer, always text through your dialer, and shoot emails. I like to say that you need to crazy ex girlfriend or crazy ex boyfriend these leads when they first come in.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome.
This is Vincent. I have a question.
Hey, Vincent.
Hi. So, which program you recommend? I heard about the boot camp. So, as a beginner, which program I should start? Like a comprehensive program which will help me to revenue some extra revenues so that I
Yeah,
can continue.
yeah. So let me just explain the difference. If you just pay for ClassPass, which is the cheapest, most easy access, you get it's pretty much self-directed. You have to pick the classes, each day that you want to go to. You have to show up to the classes. It's going to be a different trainer each time, and they may not necessarily know who you are, but they will teach you the material and they will practice with you. If you sign up for the boot camp, you take those classes, and what you add to it is you get placed into a small group of other agents just like this who are trying to do the same thing. And you get one trainer who meets with you each week and knows who you are and knows what your goals are and knows the specific things you need to be working on to improve your results. So that's kind of the difference between just the class pass versus the boot camp, which is everything. And the boot camp runs for 12 weeks. They take you sequentially through material that goes through the intros and objections and value prop and closing. So the purpose here is that at the end of the 12 weeks, you either say, hey, I'm good, I got this, I'm great, and I don't want to focus on this anymore. Or you say, that's all fantastic, and I've learned a good basic skill set. I want to keep honing my craft. I want to go month to month. I want to keep working on my skill set and getting better and better. Those are the choices that you have at the end of the boot camp.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know you asked for a recommendation. I think everybody should do the boot camp. Here's what I would say. I think the distinction is that, let me put it out there. If you have enough leads to have 20 to 30 new conversations per week, go with the boot camp. If you don't have enough leads, but you still want to improve your skill set and you want to be able to have better conversations, then go with the class pass and figure out how to get more leads. How does that sound, everybody? Is that a good distinction? Okay. Any other questions? You're welcome.
Hi, Dale. It's Bhavna.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for the coaching. It's very helpful. So I am one of those people who finds 99 reasons to think why a call will not go well. One of my biggest concerns is not sounding too intrusive or not being too intrusive. So I start in the morning, I'll say, I'll call them now, and I'm like, maybe it's not a good time. And then the day's gone. And then I start the whole cycle again the next day. So did you find any time in your experience that's a good time to call without sounding like you're intruding on someone's day?
I'm thinking about how to answer this. Why do you not want to intrude on somebody's day?
Because I always feel that's not my personality. I wouldn't want anyone else to call. And I think that's where my biggest fear is. I do have names. I write down names every day. These are the people I want to call. And the whole day just goes by. I'll call at 5. I'll call at 7. Oh, I'll call at 9. Oh, it's too late. Now I'll start again in the morning. So
I've been there. I know how that works. I do know how that works. Okay.
It is my problem too.
Your problem too, Vincent?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I talked about kind of flipping the mindset. So right now, what you're doing is you're saying, "Oh, I'm the kind of person that doesn't want people bothering me. I don't want to be that kind of person to other people because then they will not like me or they'll be upset with me and I will feel bad about myself." Is that pretty much how it
That's right.
goes?
That's absolutely right. Yes.
Okay. So one, you're being selfish. You think you're not being selfish, you're actually being selfish. All you're
Mhm.
focused on is how you're going to feel. That's one. Two,
Mhm.
I want you to ask yourself, how appreciative would you be if you needed a professional to help you and they actually reached out to help you? Would you appreciate that?
Yes.
Yes, you would appreciate that. So stop being so selfish. Let them decide whether you are bothering them or not. Let them decide whether they need your professionalism. Let them decide whether or not they need your help. Guess what? You want to hear a secret? They'll tell you. They're more than happy to tell you. Let them decide.
Got it.
This is just one sort of little mental trick that I'm giving you. If that
Mhm.
mental trick works for you, use it. If that mental trick doesn't work for you, find a different one. Does that help at all?
Yeah, got it.
What about you, Vincent? Vincent doesn't seem convinced.
I'm going to try that way.
Okay. Here's what I know. I deal with this a lot. I deal with it in my personal life with my daughter, my wife, who frequently battle each other. I deal with it in business. I deal with it with my clients. I deal with it. I mean, look at politics for God's sake. How is it in the US? How is it possible that half of the country thinks the other half is insane? Yeah. And the other half thinks the other half is insane. I'm not quite clear on this one. I haven't wrapped my head around it yet. But my point is, it's all about perspective, right? It's about perspective. So if your perspective is not serving you right now, the highest and best thing that you can do is figure out how to adopt a different one. Let me give you this example. Have you ever seen that like grossly obese person who has the confidence to knock down skyscrapers, who feels so comfortable with themselves and with their body that they don't even question themselves? Have you ever seen that person or met that person? Is this have you guys ever run into that? How is that possible? Yet, how is it that somebody who is fit and trim and matches all the accepted conventions of beauty could doubt themselves, could feel bad about themselves, could second guess themselves? It's about perspective. That's what it's about. So I haven't entirely figured that out for myself in my life. I still deal with it too, but I know that the secret is around perspective. And the more that you can shift your own, the more that you can do things you thought you couldn't do. All right, that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm late for my next meeting. I hope that I made an impact for you guys. Hopefully, some of you will come and do some training with us. Bye.